Are seeded to keep the top clubs apart, but that formative phase is over. The big confrontations are underway, and they come no bigger than Napoli against Milan in front of a packed and partisan crowd here in the San Paolo Stadium in Naples. The task for Trevor Francis and myself is to describe for you just how the champions match up against the early season league leaders, and how Milan cope with the difficulties of performing in this intimidating stadium. They are a side of class and continuity, and with sufficient depth in their squad today to leave Roberto Donadoni on the substitutes bench. Part of the reason for that is that Frank Rijkaard is available again after injury and suspension. He starts his first league game of the season. Milan with 9 points from their 5 games so far. They're looking good, though you can't say the same about their opponents today. Referee Carlo Longhi back from London, where he was a linesman at Wembley on Wednesday for the European Championship International between England and Poland. Napoli have made such a nervous start to the defence of their title. They've also had to wait for Diego Maradona's latest jaunt to Argentina to finish. The captain very much a law unto himself, but he's back, he's playing of course. And at least their selection worries have been kept to a minimum, although 2 experienced defenders are still on the sidelines, Renica and Corradini. Just 1 win in 5 matches is a very poor return by Napoli's standards. And this really is a vital game for them to win it if they can. If they were to lose, the gap between the 2 clubs would be an astonishing 7 points. Marco van Basten going in strongly. Maybe an early indication here of Milan's sense of purpose. It's their throw. Ivani to take it. Paolo Maldini, who was doubtful during the week, he's been out for a couple of games with injury, and Ivani too was on the treatment table, but they've all come good for a game where they try to test out an old friend, Giovanni Galli. Maradona starting the game well forward, not getting any sympathy from the referee then. Milan, who've really set a new style over the last 2 or 3 years under Arrigo Sacchi in this pressing type of football, where they adopt maybe more of a Northern European approach. They mark zonally. They work hard in midfield, they deny the opposition space, and it's worked really brilliantly for them. But it hurt so much when they fell away at the end of the last season, when the Italian league title seemed there for the taking at the expense of Napoli. Gaudenzi, one of the newcomers this season, getting in across. And I'm sure Giovanni Galli aware of the extra spotlight on his performance today, and glad to have had a couple of touches of the ball most confidently in the opening 2 minutes. Ivani, who's one of the real unsung heroes of Milan, up and down the left-hand side. But there's that type of frustration to contend with. Visitors to the San Paolo Stadium usually feel they don't get much that goes their way.
No, and Arrigo Sacchi was probably right there. The ball didn't, the whole of the ball didn't go out of play there, and I think on that instance the linesman wasn't correct.
Ancelotti inviting Gullit to chase. Ferrara picking up through Gullit. Here's Tassotti. Oh, and Rijkaard, who is so good in the air and also so well aware of how to time his runs into the penalty area.
Yes, there's a lovely bit of individual skill by Tassotti, getting the ball onto his left foot, and it was a good cross to the back post, and the marking by the Napoli defence left a lot to be desired. Rijkaard stole in and almost gave Milan the lead.
Great save by Galli. Oh, and maybe Gullit and Van Basten got in each other's way then. But Giovanni Galli, one up to him, really. It was a significant save. "13 minutes gone, and Napoli so close to going behind, and that really would be a very serious test of their confidence at the moment." Ivani. Well, the inquests are coming from the Napoli bench at the moment. Here's Crippa, Franchini going outside him. Gaudenzi, who was signed from Verona. He actually played in the Verona side that caused so many problems to Milan in that game at the end of last season. Incocciati. Maradona improvised to get in a shot that didn't trouble Casali. But there's a lovely open air about this game.
Well, we've already seen some great individual skills there. Incocciati, a little back heel to Maradona. I think perhaps he's been a bit optimistic, but it was nice to see a little bit of adventurous play there from Maradona with the chip.
In from Gullit, the other number 10, expressing himself.
There's so many outstanding players on view here today that we can't help but see good individual performances. And already after the opening minutes, you know, we've seen some great individual skills from players, and certainly got off to a good start, and I'll be surprised if there's not goals in this game.
We've had 15 minutes. Milan have scored just 7 times in getting 9 points from their 5 games. Their margins of victory have been fairly narrow on the scoreline. Only won by a 2-goal margin, in fact. But they've been pretty conclusive on the pitch. Carlo Ancelotti. Napoli, for their part, have conceded just 5 goals in 5 games, but by having a poor production up front, just 4 points, and that really represents gross failure by their standards. Van Basten. Oh, and can Gullit get there? Oh, he's waited so long for a goal through his injuries that have kept him out of so many vital games. Indeed, for an entire season, and it looked as though it was going to manifest itself then. Crippa letting the ball do the work this time. Maradona didn't see Gaudenzi approaching him on that side, his right. The feeling is that part of the time Maradona spent recently in Argentina was to discuss what exactly his role should be with the national team. And indeed, how long he should continue playing. I think it's a fairly open secret here that he doesn't particularly want to fulfill his contract with Napoli, which runs until 1993. Other views on that, but Maradona invariably gets his own way.
Well, I've read that Maradona was interested in going to play in America, and the following day I read he was interested in an offer from Japan, and of course it keeps being mentioned about him going to Marseille, so he won't be exactly short of offers, will he?
Well, here is the tall and long-haired Andrea Silenzi. And it's Careca who has clearly picked up an injury, or maybe aggravated one that he came into the game with that we weren't aware of. And that really is a disappointment for the home supporters. With only 28 minutes gone, Careca is off. Silenzi, the top scorer in the second division last season with 23 goals. And he's found it a big step into Serie A. That's a looping header from Kholet that needed saving. What a difference a goal would make to Ruud Kholet, who, of course, was written off by so many that his career was over. Re-emerged for the World Cup and has been a regular for Milan this season. Evani. Van Basten clearly went down through his own fault. Alamao. Pippa, who's caught the eye in the opening half an hour with his willingness to run from midfield and his ability to earn free kicks as well. Cripper just failed to make Italy's 22 for the World Cup finals. He was very much in contention for a place. But Arrigo Sacchi feels that there's a bit of conning going on here. Maldini. That was beautifully played, and Ivani wasn't up to it for once. It was a shame for Milan. Trevor, your summing up of the first half as we move to its conclusion.
Well, I think it certainly suits Milan, this first half performance. They've come here not to get beaten, and they haven't been put under too much pressure, I have to add. Napoli, the emphasis on them to go forward to try and win this game, but it's been a rather comfortable first half for Milan.
A half that started with a lot of verve and the potential of goals, but things tightened up as the game progressed. But Arrigo Sacchi's team came closest, really. Frank Rijkaard back in the picture again after suspension and injury with a very solid header and a save that Giovanni Galli, the former Milan goalkeeper, will treasure in keeping it at Napoli 0, Milan 0 at half-time. So Marco van Basten and Frank Rijkaard ready to get the second half underway. And Milan, who would be satisfied with the draw, but a win would be wonderful for them, because it would really rock Napoli back and I think make the prevalent feeling in this part of the world that the defence of the title was over, really at the formative early stage of the season. But one thing you learn about visits to Naples is always expect the unexpected. And who knows what this second half might bring. And the calm air that Milan have brought to their play might be ruffled. Certainly the supporters will try and play a part in that and lift the players who look badly in need of an injection of confidence. Certainly they don't look like defending champions. Here's Silenzi, though, with a good show of early enterprise in the second half, and he almost got too much carried away with it. He does look very similar to the way he was brought here to replace Andrea Carnevale. We won't be seeing much of Carnevale in the near future. Kholet. Well, a couple of years ago, that might have ended up in the back of the opposition's net. It was plenty of height to the jump. This is Incocciati. Gaudenzi. Mistake by Rijkaard. Incrociati held his position to stay onside. Well, I don't quite know what Incrociati was doing there. Whether he was taking the mickey out of the referee by indicating that he had dived when he clearly hadn't. And it's rightly a free kick, conceded by Franco Baresi. Taken by Maradona, but not with any great depth to it. Alamao shots, and Pazzani waves it on its way.
At the start of the second half, it appears that Bigon, the Napoli manager, has slightly changed the format of the Napoli forward line, whereas before Careca and Maradona were playing down the centre, with Incrociati just a little bit in behind. They're now playing in a 4-3-3 system with Silenzi on the right, Incrociati on the left, and Maradona's down the centre by himself.
Now Van Basten, and Baroni, well, he made sure that Van Basten wasn't going to trouble him in the immediate future. The referee, again, giving the game every chance to flow, didn't blow for the free kick because Milan was still in possession. But now Baroni gets a yellow card, and I think that's a perfect example for referees, really. He didn't stop the play. Milan wanted to have the ball in that position, and then when the game stopped, the culprit was singled out for proper punishment. Really backing up the point, Trevor, you were making about the ponderous nature of Marco Baroni. That was never his ball. Milan, who I think have the biggest first-team squad in the Italian First Division, and some outstanding players on the sidelines. Massaro, who was in the championship winning side in 1988. He's one of the substitutes today. Gaudenzi. Well, it came a bit high for Hullet, but his touch was good, and it's almost as if that cross has lifted his spirits. Maldini. Oh, and Van Basten. That was Maldini again. After Van Basten tried to turn, the ball bounced up. Maldini had continued his forward momentum, really. And it was a snapshot, and a very good one indeed.
Yes, it wasn't a particularly good hold-up play from Van Basten, but you see Maldini coming onto it there. Great link-up play. It's so encouraging for the forwards to see defenders come in attacking positions like that, and Maldini does love to come forward. I thought at first that he'd actually score with it. He was very, very close to putting Milan ahead.
He hit the net, but the wrong side of it. Maldini, here he is again, the son of Cesare Maldini, who's in charge now of Italy's under-21 squad, a former international player. Ivani. Oh, and Hullet! Again, not quite the execution, but what he will be reassuring himself with is the fact that he got into that position. He was first to it. Van Basten dropping deep. Hullit's ahead of him. Rijkaard behind him. But Kripper yet again able to win the ball back for his side, if a bit unwittingly that time. And Maradona at least draws plenty of opponents to him, and the space is there for Alamao. Maradona's in the centre, and in the end it floated on past Pazzali, past that post. Just when you are about to write Napoli off.
Well, Alamao knocks the ball there to the back post, looking for a colleague coming in, but there's no one there, and I thought that the way Maradona suggested that the ball might have actually touched the upright, but I think as we saw there, it just went past. That's the closest I would think the Napoli have been to scoring.
Here's Tassotti with the cross. Mind you, it won't be a very quiet week here with the European Cup second round coming up, but they won't want to go into that to follow your drift, Trevor, with a defeat. But it might be a win they're thinking of here, and look where Pacelli's gone. Alamau! It's the outside of the goal. And he was really given the chance then. Galli will be upset first of all that his team haven't taken the lead, but goalkeeper to goalkeeper, he might have a word with Pacelli after the game about this. It was an open goal from a relatively awkward angle, but you are talking about top-class talent, and it actually seemed to clip the outside of the post before hitting the outside of the netting. It's very composed play here by Venturin. Maldini's header, collected by Napoli. Crippa's coming in. Oh, was he pushed down then? He was, so unnecessarily. And the player who really has typified the sort of effort that Napoli have needed, Massimo Crippa. Well, they haven't got the goal, but they feel they're so close to it as Milan have conceded a penalty needlessly, Trevor.
Well, my first thoughts were that Crippa all afternoon has been diving. I can't remember the number of times he's fallen on the floor. My first thoughts were he's done it once again. I can't believe that Tassotti is stupid enough in the penalty box to have pushed him over. And judging by the reaction of the Milan players, they're certainly in agreement with me.
There are 8 minutes to go. There's a yellow card for Baresi for leading the protests. But Crippa certainly got into a position there where he caught Tassotti out. And what followed might stimulate a Napoli revival after their dreadful start to the season. And if you had to pick one player in the world to take a penalty for you in these circumstances, well, you're looking at him. Baresi would be foolish to get involved again. But Maradona has to deal with the delay. It's a crucial penalty, and it's a goal! Bedlam in the San Paolo Stadium. And they feel exultation and considerable relief, but Saki's emotions very much the opposite. Well, how on earth do you take them like this when there's so much resting on it? He's just tapped it into the net.
Well, they say that you should never miss a penalty, but when there's 75,000 people expecting, it's not easy. The pressure was certainly on Maradona, and he takes it. It's like as if it's taking a cup of coffee for him. So easy. He watches the goalkeeper and then decides to put it in the bottom corner. That was a terrific penalty under extreme pressure.
And Pacelli went the right way, but was still thrown off balance and couldn't react. And Milan, who have been now appeal for something for themselves, and after what happened in Verona at the back end of last season, they would be well advised to be cautious. And Saki, is he walking away from it in disgust?
I think he's had enough. He's walking off.
It's a match that's been simmering throughout, and it's provided an explosive finish. Bigon says, come on. Well, we saw him sent from the bench in Verona. It really was the start of a period of mayhem, but there was a penalty appeal here that went against Milan, and Arrigo Sacchi felt that for a few seconds he couldn't take any more. He's had second thoughts. Donadoni, oh, and Galli just has to pour it behind. Milan have got plenty of players capable of attacking the corner in the air. Van Basten is one of them. Hullet! 1-1. A goal to savour in every sense for Ruud Hullet. It's knocked the stuffing out of Galli and Alamau and Napoli, but it's certainly a goal that's full of justice, really. And Napoli couldn't cope with the aerial threat because the first header here was decisive from Marco van Basten. Hullet was on the move, certainly not flat-footed. A great moment for him.
Yes, and they certainly have to thank the two Dutchmen there. A great header from Van Basten. Hullet gets away from his marker, Ferrara, and tucks it away without any problems. That's his first goal of the season, and what a great time it's come for his team.
Arrigo Sacchi is glad he stayed. Well, I said at the outset that the real matches were starting now after the early season fixtures, which were seeded to some extent to avoid these big confrontations in the first month or so of the new campaign. Well, I think you'll agree with the point that I was trying to make. It's been very much the real thing here, and a match that was always full of potential had a thrilling finale.